Good morning and welcome to our final class of this year. This is week number 212. This is an AMA like you see on Reddit, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, investing questions, personal questions, any questions you have. And my goal is to humbly help you take your career to the next level. Now, before we get started, I first of all want to congratulate the graduating class of 2022 in my MBA degree program. They started in January of 2022 this year, and they just graduated a couple days ago. I want to congratulate them. I want to quickly mention before I take your questions, and please keep typing them, I want to quickly mention my next MBA program. It's a one-year program that starts in January, on January the 30th actually. And I want to show you quickly how to get more information on this. So all you have to do is you go to my website, which is harounmba.com. And then once you're on this website, if you scroll down, you can learn more about the MBA program. Okay, so I've got 3 MBA degree programs. One of them is called Silver, which means you can start today and finish within a month if you want to, or take the rest of your life to do it. I add tons of electives to it as well. All 3 versions every year. I add tons of new content. I'm in the process of adding a programming module to it as well. So anybody that purchases any of my MBA programs today, in the future, in the past, whatever, get access to how to program. And I'm going to be teaching in a much more visual way, starting with Microsoft Excel with subroutines. So you can purchase Silver today if you want. It's $499. There's a 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. And every single Thursday, as many of you know, in the Silver MBA, I do a Zoom call starting at 10 a.m. in 2 hours from now, 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. every Thursday. Okay, it's a one-time payment. If you've already bought Silver and you want to upgrade to Gold or Platinum, you can email admissions@harounventures.com for a discount. But if you want to sign up for the Gold or Platinum programs, the next one starts on January 30th. That's a Monday. And that's going to be January 30th, 2023, every Monday and Tuesday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Again, it's every Monday and Tuesday starting on Monday, January 30th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time for 1 year. And the difference between the Silver and the Gold is the Gold, I actually play all the lectures in the Silver, plus I give you about 200 hours, actually more than 200 hours of live Q&A. And the Gold is the same, or pardon me, the Platinum is the same thing as the Gold, except you also get 3 hours of one-on-one time with me. That's 9 20-minute slots spread out throughout the year. So I can personally write your LinkedIn profile for you to get the job of your dreams. I'll walk through walls for you to help you. I promise you, this will add tremendous value to your career. This program will be the 6th one we're starting. We have graduates in the past year alone that have gotten full-time jobs at Goldman Sachs in investment banking in the same class that Harvard MBAs are in. That's right. For a fraction of the price too. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. In the past year, we've also had students get jobs in venture capital. One in particular is working for the founder of Reddit in VC. Another one of my students raised $11.5 million for his startup from the same venture capital firm that invested in Tesla, eBay, and many others. And I have tons and tons of employees, or pardon me, students that have gotten raises, promotions, all that good stuff. So if you want, go to harounmba.com to learn more details about this program. And if you have questions, please let me know. And thank you as always. Okay. And I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Merry New Year, and all that great stuff. Again, this is the last call of this year. And then our next call is going to be the first week of January. Again, if you purchase my MBA program, you're going to get all of my programming stuff as well, which I'm adding. I'm teaching you how to program in a much more visual way. And that's going to be added to the end of your MBA degree program. So if you purchased the MBA in the past, or you're going to purchase it now or in the future, you will get access to this. And I'm going to be teaching you a lot about data analysis, artificial intelligence, as well as programming. And if there are any new skills that are added to the marketplace or new social media platforms in the future that are going to help take your career to the next level, I will add it immediately to the program so that you can take your career to the next level. Again, it's a one-time payment, 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Yeah. Stay inspired. All right, let me get to your questions. Again, type your questions here. And then if you want, what we can do is later on, after we go through all the questions here, we can do a short Zoom session in case you have questions. To learn more about the MBA, you can go to this link here. And thank you as always. All right, let me kick it off by quickly talking about inflation. So inflation is getting a little bit better in the United States and perhaps a little bit worse in Europe. So earlier this week, the Federal Reserve increased interest rates by 50 basis points. That's 0.5%. And that's an improvement because over the past couple of months, rates were increasing 75 basis points or 0.75% every month until the past 2 sessions. Now, what the government is looking at closely and what the market was excited about was earlier this week, the CPI data came out in the United States. That means the inflation data. And that was for the month of November. And people were expecting an increase of 0.3% month over month from October to November in terms of prices. But actually prices increased by only 0.1%, which is the lowest it's been in about a year. As a result, the markets temporarily rallied. And what the markets do is they discount what is going to happen to the economy about 6 months in the future. And so right now, a lot of investors in the United States are forecasting and expecting perhaps the government will stop raising interest rates in about 6 months. Now, when governments raise interest rates, it takes about 6 months for it to filter through into the economy and slow the economy down. And what the government looks at closely, and what we should all look at closely, is unemployment. Now, companies only report earnings 4 times a year. That's every 3 months. But the government releases weekly jobless claims and on a weekly basis, and then a monthly unemployment report. And the monthly is crucial. And the great thing about monitoring weekly and monthly unemployment numbers is it gives you a channel check on how companies are doing every month and every week. So watch for that closely. Now, what's been happening is the government's been raising rates, and they want unemployment to increase. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Because when unemployment goes up, then what happens is inflation goes down. Because the biggest input price into producing anything, be it a product or a service, is the price of labor. And that's why we watch that closely. So I think the government in the United States wants unemployment to go to mid to maybe high single digits if inflation does not improve. So please watch that closely. Yeah. All right, let me kick it off with Laura Croft. Laura, how are you? My favorite game when I was younger was Tomb Raider. Also a great movie with Angelina Jolie, 2 of them. And Daniel Craig was the bad guy, I think, in the first one. So Laura wrote here, hi, Chris, I'm planning a lead generation agency and I need more statistics. Do you have any recommendations? Yeah, there's a couple things. There's a great website called Wolfram Alpha, and there's also OpenGPT. And what I want to do is quickly show you guys OpenGPT because this is a new chat function that Elon Musk kind of developed, which is sort of open source, which is taking the world by storm. And essays will never be the same for students. This is going to knock your socks off. The most important thing I could teach you today or show you is this. So let me go to OpenGPT chat, and anybody can sign up for this. Okay, and everybody is talking about this too. So you go to openai.com, and then you can go to try ChatGPT, and you have to log in as well. So I just use my my Gmail address. Okay, here we go. And this is going to blow you away. This changes everything. So check this out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move myself to the top right-hand corner of the screen here. Okay, so check this out. All right, write an essay about beer in Canada that is 99 words. And a lot of singers are writing their lyrics this way too. And this is such a ridiculous example, but it's really going to show you the power of this artificial intelligence-based algorithm. So here we go. This is 99 words. Beer is I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less. Beer is an important part of Canadian culture and history. Canada is home to a vibrant and diverse beer industry with over 600 breweries operating across the country, yada, yada, yada. And this will be exactly 99 words by the time it is done. Okay, pretty amazing, isn't it? It's incredible, just incredible. Let me make sure you guys can see. Okay, good. All right, A lot of people for university essays are using this as well. And there's no way at this point to tell if this is plagiarism. It's unbelievable. You could take any of these sentences here, put them in quotes, and search on Google, and you won't find a match for this. You can also write a poem. Watch this. Write a poem that is 108 words to my wife, Christine, who is from Toronto. See if this works. Hallmark cards will never be the same. Yeah. And I think this is actually going to take a lot of market share away from Google as well. You don't need to search Google for answers to complicated questions. You can do it right here directly. So here is a poem to my wife who's from Toronto. My love for you, Christine, is like a river flowing strong and true forever and ever. From the banks of Lake Ontario to the peaks of the Rocky Mountains, you are my home, my heart, my haven. Toronto is where you were born and raised, yada, yada, yada. So this is unbelievable. You can also do it for programming as well, right? It helps you do code. It's ridiculous. So check it out if you get a chance. Go to this website here, openai.com. Okay, and if you can't find it in your country, just do a search for OpenGPT or GPT ChatGPT right here. ChatGPT. It changes everything, and it's turning the copywriting industry on its head. It's unbelievable. And if you have to send out an email to students, you can do it this way as well. So check this out. Write an email with the subject line about why Canada is a good place for business. Okay, so check this out. And it'll give you the subject line as well. And a lot of times we have problems coming up with titles for our social media posts or for emails, and we want people to open them. And so what this product will do here, and it's free to use, is it will create a great subject line and the entire email for you as well. And what it will do, if it's a long essay or a long piece, is it will break it up so that there's usually no more than 3 sentences per paragraph, which is a great way to write anyway. Isn't this unbelievable? This changes everything, everything. And if anybody out here has questions about OpenGPT or ChatGPT as it's called, or ways to use it to take our careers to the next level, please share it in the chat today. And thank you. Okay. Now let me get to your questions here. It's pretty cool, huh? All right. Now, Laura, one more thing, Laura, with respect to another source to get access to data, you can always go to wolframalpha.com, okay? And from here, you can get just tons of data. Again, it's wolframalpha.com. Yeah. Another way for all of you to get data for your presentations, and you need statistics when you present, because if you don't have data, it's just an opinion, nothing more. Another great place to get it from is from large consulting companies. So you do a search for whatever statistics you want in McKinsey or Boston Consulting Group, or if you're in the technology sector, Gartner, Forrester, etc. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, Alex P. Alex, how are you? Alex from Canada. I always tease him. I call him Alex P. Keaton, who wrote, "Hi, Chris. Top of the morning. Same to you. We're getting pounded this week with snow in Utah. And that's a double-edged sword. For safety reasons, I hope you're okay. However, snow is great there for skiing. I snowed at Snowbird when I used to go there every year for the Novell BrainShare conference. I love it." And then you wrote, "Although my question is, what do you think about the Federal Reserve raising interest rates half a rate to 0.5%? Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, it's a positive thing, only because the rate of change of increases is slowing from 75 basis points per month to 0.5 basis points per month, and eventually it'll be 2.25%, and then no more raises, and the stock market will take off. Yeah. And regardless of trying to time the market or not, I recommend that you all continue to buy ticker VOO. Ticker VOO is the S&P 500 ETF. The fees are next to nothing. And that fund, the S&P 500, goes up 10.5% per year on average. So if all you do is you put your $20,000 or $22,000 per year in retirement savings tax-free in the VOO, ticker VOO, then what happens is in 20 years, you'll have over $1 million. If your spouse does, you'll have over $2 million. If you get your kids to have an educational savings account of 529, where money can grow tax-free, you can put 16 grand in per year. And then what happens is you get 700 grand per student or per kid over 17 or 18 years. So if you have 3 kids and miraculously you max that out, then 7 times 3 is 2.1 million plus the $2 million you're saving with your spouse over 20 years. So your net worth is over $4 million. I know that times are tough and it's tough to max out your contributions every week, but what I humbly recommend, the last thing I'll say about this, is Warren Buffett said that you should spend what is left after saving instead of saving what is left after spending. What that means is I want you all, if you can do it, please, to have money taken out of your paycheck every 2 weeks and put into your retirement accounts. All right, next up, Alex wrote, also, I wanted to ask, what do you think about the United States having a central bank digital currency in the next 5 to 50 years? Yeah, it's going to happen for sure, but regulation is coming first. Now, what's happened with FTX, and I've gotten a lot of questions about this from my students for obvious reasons, is FTX has been a scandal commensurate with Bernard Madoff back in 2008, to the extent that as the markets went down in 2008, Bernard Madoff couldn't give back money to his investors in stocks because it was fraud. Same thing with FTX as the crypto market went down a lot. And so I think what's going to happen is the United States government is going to regulate cryptocurrencies, which will be incredibly positive for cryptos longer term, right? Because more people will want to invest. And once you see regulation, then that's the time to back up the truck and buy cryptos, in my humble opinion. Do tons of research, please, on them. In my MBA degree program, which you can get at this address here, I talk about that in more detail. Now, what FTX wanted to do was they wanted the government, and they were lobbying the government with close to $100 million in lobbying spending. FTX was lobbying the government to get cryptocurrencies to be regulated by the Commodities Commission. And if the Commodity Commission were to regulate cryptos, it would be an awful thing because you don't need that much disclosure, from legally speaking, when it comes to selling a commodity. However, if the SEC, and I think this is going to happen, if the SEC were to regulate and oversee the cryptos market, it would be incredibly bullish because the SEC makes you write a lot of detailed stuff to release to investors on sec.gov. This here is the IPO S1 document for Facebook ticker Meta from the summer of 2012. And the investment bankers had to list a lot of stuff in here, including all the risks, and lawyers wrote this as well. So the bottom line is I think what's coming next for cryptos is regulation. Whenever you have a crisis in finance, you get regulation. It happened, post 2000 with Internet Bubble 1.0. Regulation FD was created. It happened post 2008 when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working, and it's going to happen right now as well. Yeah. Okay. But I don't think the U.S. is going to be the first to do it. I think they're going to kind of watch other countries first to see how they deploy their cryptocurrency. And I think, and I publicly said before, that what El Salvador has done is really fiscally irresponsible to basically gut their currency and just use Bitcoin. But I think the United States will be one of the last developed countries to do this, meaning get a crypto, because monopolies are inherently lazy. That's not a bad thing. I mean, they just don't have to innovate, right? If you think about huge technology companies that are dominant, they're monopolies. They don't have to innovate. Okay. Next up, JM wrote, I was worried you would be unable to complete the MBA program after I saw you electrocute yourself. Thank you. Loving the MBA program so far. Just started the accounting section. Thank you so much for that. And what JM is referring to is in my MBA degree program, which is more than 300 hours, a lot of it is finance and accounting, about 100 hours of it. And during one of the finance and accounting sessions, I used this electronic product to burn letters into a piece of wood so I can explain how a balance sheet works. And I electrocuted myself during it, and my editor, Matt, left it in when I recorded. That was pretty fun, but it was totally fun. Thank you. Shocking. Next up, Yolanda. How are you? Yolanda graduated from my Platinum MBA a couple of years ago. It's been a while. Yolanda is from Texas. Great to see you. Yolanda wrote, just wanted to pop in and say hello. Hope you're doing well. I'm so proud to have been part of your first MBA class. Thank you. And it's great to see you, and I hope you're doing well. Yeah. And please bring your tax code from Texas to California. Thank you. All right. Next up, I got Mutaz, who wrote, "Hey Chris, how are you doing? I'm always great. Thank you, thank you. I've gotten into better shape. Earlier this year, I had COVID and health complications, but with crisis comes opportunity. And I'm the best shape I've been in my life. I finally got my 6-pack back as opposed to my Molsa Muscle. It's a Canadian 1-pack, and I feel great. And what really helped me turn my health around, and I'm over 50. Is this, and I highly recommend this product if you want to buy this as a gift for anybody. It's called the Oura Ring, O-U-R-A. It's a bit pricey, but it basically helps me to monitor my heart, which is in perfect shape, and my sleep. And sleep is crucial. And what I'm talking about is deep sleep. So this has helped me improve my deep sleep to the extent that I can think much better, I can speak more gooder and stuff, and I feel great. I get my 20,000 steps in every single day, going to the gym. It's great. I highly recommend it. Yeah. And I went to Stanford University for a sleep study, and they gave me a couple of tips. Number one, don't have any caffeine after noon. All I get is this much caffeine every day, and I'm using a straw because my teeth are getting whiter. Number two, don't exercise too late at night. Number three, and this one's crucial, don't ever go into your bed for any reason other than sleeping. What I mean by that is, like, don't read in bed. And this one is crucial. Don't use this in bed, and don't use these things or iPads within a couple hours of going to bed, or TV. And if you do, you have to wear what are called blue blocking glasses, because what it does, scientifically, this is proven to be correct, is blue blocking glasses, which are cheap. You can get them for $10 on Amazon. Do a search for blue blocking glasses on Amazon. What blue blocking glasses do is they block blue light, right? Which allows your mind to start relaxing before you go to bed. Very, very important. Yeah. And also diet's important. You know, I drink one of these things every day. Water's good for you. And every Sunday I prepare greatest hits of every antioxidant I can find in these things. Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody else has more sleep tips, please share them with all of us. But all that stuff I mentioned will help you get more deep sleep. And the only way you know if you have good deep sleep is to get one of these devices, or I don't know, a Fitbit or Apple Watch or something to monitor deep sleep. Yeah. All right, next up, I've got Kevin, who's in my MBA program, who wrote, "Good morning from Lakeland, Florida. It's great to see you as always, buddy." Okay, Caroline, who's from France but lives in Canada, and she's in my silver MBA, and she got married recently in Nova Scotia. Congratulations. I wrote, "Good morning, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Likewise. The euro currency is going back up. If the U.S. goes into recession next year, what will happen to the U.S. currency?" Yeah. So the European currency is going back up now relative to the U.S. dollar because people think that inflation is getting worse in Europe and better in America. And so what happens is, if inflation gets better in America, the United States government doesn't need to raise rates as much. If inflation gets worse in Europe, then the European Union needs to, the ECB needs to raise rates more. So if the euro has higher interest rates, then what happens is more people want to buy the euro because you can get a better return on it, and it's all relative. Sell dollars, buy euros. Yeah. Yeah. But if the U.S. goes into a recession next year, I think that the dollar will go down. Yeah. Because what will happen is the government won't raise rates anymore. But it's all relative. Like FX and currency hedging, et cetera, is all relative to other countries. Yeah. All right. All right. And then next up, Laura says, "Hello from Germany, and thank you so much for Hans Zimmer." Anybody from Germany, thank you. Yeah. And if you're ever having problems working, studying, whatever, what I recommend doing is ask Alexa or SIRI to play music from Hans Zimmer. Yeah. And my favorite is the movie Interstellar. Yeah. It puts you in this incredible cerebral state so that you can accomplish much more too. When you're inspired, think about watching a movie without music. Yeah. All right. Next up, Snoop. Snoop wrote, "For years, my wife and I," and the only tape my wife ever purchased was Snoop Dogg's Greatest Hits. I remember that. She's never bought a CD or downloaded any music except for that one. Snoop wrote, "For years, my wife and I have been thinking of opening a coffee shop." Cool. When talking profit margins, is the average after you pay yourself a salary or before. Profit margin average is between 2 and 10%. No, so there's different types of profit margins. What you're referring to is net profit margins, which goes at the very bottom of your income statement. And if you have net profit margins between 2 and 10%, that's pretty low. I'd be careful with that. That means if it's 2%, for every $1 in coffee you sell, you only get to keep 2 pennies. And the problem with retail is it's cutthroat. And most retail companies don't break even until the end of November. They go into the black then. And that's why it's called Black Friday, because retail companies are in the black or in the red all year long, losing money. Until the end of November, then they're in the black. They go from in the red to in the black. It's cutthroat. It's really, really tough. Now, before you start that coffee shop, before anybody starts any company, I want you to go through my venture capital boot camp. It's in my MBA degree program. You can learn more about it and start today at this address here. And in the MBA degree program, in the venture capital boot camp in the 3rd semester, I talk about how to start a company, and I talk about how to create a business plan. I give you all the business plan templates. I also give you templates to help you raise money as well. And failing to plan is planning to fail. You have to write a business plan first. Now, when it comes to anything, hide my bald spot here. When it comes to anything retail based, it's really important to look at location. It's crucial. It's the most important thing. Yeah. And what I recommend also is you look through annual reports for retail companies, and I want you to monitor what's called same-store sales, because that means organic growth for each store. Like for Starbucks, for example, read all the Peet's Coffee and Starbucks annual reports, please, before you even think about starting a coffee shop. Yeah. And ask me every week here if you have more questions. I'd be happy to humbly help you. Yeah. Okay, next up, Ted Bell wrote, just checking in, Chris, Hakuna Matata. That's right. Don't worry about anything. God bless you. Yeah. And I'm a spiritual person, as many of you know, and I never worry about my career. Because I see setbacks as an opportunity longer term, because I tell myself that, God already knows what's going to happen. And that should put you at ease. And sometimes you'll have a setback in your career and you won't understand why that's positive. But many years later, you look back and say, thank goodness that helped me pivot. And with frustration, I was able to break through and take my career to the next level. If anybody is unhappy in their job, or they want a raise, promotion, or get a new job or change careers, sign up for my MBA program. I guarantee you, I'll help you get a raise, promotion, or a new job, or your money back within 30 days. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's worked for thousands of my students all over the world, and I guess 1.5 million of my students that have taken my shorter courses. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas from India. How are you? He wrote, my mentor. Call me Chris, please. Good morning. Hope all is well. Likewise. Always good to see you. You wrote, what a wonderful day. Why is your voice looking tired and down? What's up with your health? I did these new exercises this morning as I was getting ready. I did exercises on how to improve your vocal cords before, and I think I did it the wrong way. And I'm going to tell you exactly, okay? Here's how I did it. And I did a lot of research on this. Obviously, it didn't work, but I'm going to tell you anyway because it's supposed to work. You put your finger here, okay? Then you drag it down, and you'll feel a bump. Okay, right here. And then you massage it for about 30 seconds. And that helps your voice sound better. You'll see it'll sound better in a second. And what you're also supposed to do is you're supposed to blow through a straw, a couple times like that. And I think I blew really, really hard this morning, but I do feel great. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then you wrote SBF, who's one of the founders of FTX, was involved in laundering cryptos in the Ukraine. Wow. And now Congress is behind him. I don't know if they're behind him. I think they're against him. Will the companies he's been associated with go down or something else? Oh, yeah. Any cryptocurrency company that was involved with fraud, as most of them are, will get punished by Congress. Yeah. And I've said this for ages. Please, couple of things. Number one, don't put more than 5% of your liquid net worth in cryptos. And if you're going to do that, make sure that no more than 0.5% of your liquid net worth goes in any one crypto. And take my MBA program because I teach you how to invest in cryptos and how to actually do your own research on cryptos by creating something like this for a crypto. over 49 steps to create kind of like an SEC document. It's not perfect because there's a dearth of information out there on cryptos, but you got to do the research on it. Yeah, and be careful. And if you guys are going to own cryptos, please don't keep them in a hot wallet. A hot wallet means a software wallet on the internet like Coinbase. If you're going to own cryptos, I want all your cryptos to be in a cold storage wallet, right? Which is like a USB token from a company called Ledger. They make the Ledger Nano, as well as there's a couple others as well. I'm just having a mind blank right now. Trezor, that's the one I want to remember. Yeah. And don't buy them from Amazon. Buy them directly from the source, even if it costs you more, because they're not tampered with that way. Okay. Oh, wow. Icy, thank you so much for that $8 Australian donation. Appreciate that. Thank you. That'll go directly to Project Magoo. And by the way, we have the roof up on Project Magoo. The building is basically done. We're just populating it now with Raspberry Pi computers. And next June, I'm going to be doing my webcasts from Rwanda. I'm going to spend the month of June in Rwanda teaching from that school, teaching students there. Yeah. Okay, so Icy wrote, a lot of YouTubers are talking about a recession coming. Yeah. I think for YouTubers or anybody that does streaming or anything online, they're already in a recession. Yeah, advertising spending has really dried up. The tech sector seems to be in a recession right now. Now, a lot of companies that have been letting people go have been in the tech sector over the past couple of months. And the tech sector is about 20% of the United States economy. Yeah, so it could be coming, but we won't know until we see the data. Yeah. Okay. Next up, and what's crucial is to monitor Q4 earnings for companies and their guidance, their outlook for 2023. Yeah, and most companies will report Q4, meaning December quarter, if they're on a calendar year, in January. Yeah. All right, next up, Viewfinder wrote, hey, Chris, do you think selling options like cash-secured puts and covered calls could help my portfolio as a retail investor? Yeah, thank you for that. So let me explain that first of all. So when it comes to options, if you own a stock, say you own Coca-Cola, and you don't want to sell it, but you're worried it might go down. Maybe you don't want to sell because you don't want to pay taxes, whatever. You can buy what's called a put, which is like a coat. It's protection. And when you buy a put, the most you can lose is a small amount you paid for this put. But while you own this put before it expires, if Coca-Cola's stock goes down, the put goes up. So it's kind of a wash. That's called a married put. And that's called buying an option. Okay. What you're talking about is selling an option. I don't recommend doing it because when you sell an option, meaning when you underwrite it, kind of like investment bankers do with an IPO, when you underwrite an option, what happens is this. You might have to pay a ton of money to somebody else that bought a similar option to the one that you sold. It's called getting assigned. So you can lose your shirt with that. Be very careful. What I recommend that you do is if you want to take my MBA program in FA 4.4, that's Finance and Accounting Semester 4, Class 4, I talk about derivatives in 30 to 40 hours. Everything you need to know. And I want you to practice for 6 months first when it comes to options, please. Yeah. Be really careful with underwriting or selling options. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Pulasti wrote, hey, Chris, how are you? I have a question. Can you explain what happened to the cryptocurrency market? Yeah. So as interest rates rise, then all speculative investment classes get hit hard. It always happens, right? The foremost dangerous words in finance, according to Sir John Templeton, is this time it's different. It's never different. When the government raises interest rates, anything speculative goes down a lot. It happened in the early 1980s when the government raised interest rates to 20%. And unemployment was 10%. Inflation was close to 20% then. And what happened was in the early 80s, of course, the stock market got obliterated and hardly any companies were founded, meaning nobody invested in speculative asset classes. The same thing is happening right now with this cycle, right? As interest rates go up, nobody wants to invest in speculative stuff like cryptos or NFTs. I can't remember the last time somebody mentioned NFT on this call. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Alex wrote, do you think the layoffs in tech college graduates should be looking in other industries to have more longevity staying employed? Yeah. I would say if you're passionate about tech, I'd still go after that market. I'd probably want to shy away from joining startups but you can still, network your way into great companies. And in my MBA degree program, in the first semester, in the first couple classes, I teach how to network on steroids so you can get the job of your dreams. And if you're in my Platinum MBA program, I write your entire LinkedIn profile myself with you. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Jose wrote, I've been using OpenGPT or ChatGPT for the last week, and it's amazing. Isn't it incredible? It's amazing. And Carolyn wrote here, oh my God, Chris, great poem. Thank you. Thank you. I'll probably write my wife's Christmas card this year with that. Yeah. I won't tell her, though. Don't tell her. Okay. Laura said, thank you so much. Amazing. It's pretty cool, huh? It's incredible. Moving on to, and my son, Andrew, he's at Berkeley. That's all everybody is talking about right now. This is him here years ago. Yeah. All right. Okay, next up, Manas wrote, Kevin O'Leary, who's on Shark Tank. And by the way, Shark Tank, the way it works, and I have friends that have started companies that have been on Shark Tank. When you watch it, it's 15 minutes, right? And they kind of, ask these founders questions. The reality is they record for 1.5 to 2 hours, and they take the 15 minutes that might not make the founders look as sharp as they really are. Yeah. But you wrote here, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank got paid $15 million for promoting FTX and now is testifying before Congress why these people promote cheap products even though they have a ton of assets. Yeah. And I think it's really unethical to promote any product on your YouTube channel if you're getting paid for it, or on TV or whatever, if you don't understand the ramifications for your customers. And that's one of the reasons why I've never had any promotion. You've noticed I've never promoted anything. I get approached every single day. I want to stay true and pure to my students. Yes, it's hurt my growth, my YouTube channel, etc., but I don't care. It's all about you. Yeah. Okay. And Carolyn wrote, I'm going to write a poem for my husband, Rob. Awesome. And God bless him. I know. All right. And Manas wrote, what can I not do with this ChatGPT thing? I don't know. Forecast the future. Some people say that the data in it is relevant up to 1 year before today. So it's not as current. You can't ask for stock advice either. You'll find that if you ask for anything finance related, there will be a disclosure that's thrown up and it won't give you that advice. Yeah. It's basically a good tool to use to synthesize and summarize complicated stuff in a paragraph or 2 or 3. Yeah. But somebody's going to make a fortune leveraging it. And I know it's kind of like an open source thing now. But I would be, if I worked in venture capital, I would be looking very hard for startups or tech companies that are publicly traded, even if I worked in the hedge fund industry, that are using OpenGPT in innovative ways. Yeah. It's a big deal. I think it's just as big of a deal as the day that Google was founded in late 1998. And I think it's really going to hurt Google in the long run. This thing is revolutionary. And it's not that easy to access. You have to go to that website I showed you at the beginning of this call to do it. Like there's no app that's good that you can download and use with it. Okay. Next up, Janice. Hey, Janice. Also the name of a great mutual fund in Colorado. Wrote, it's good to see you live again. Likewise. I've just started my first job ever at a major automotive company in Germany this month. Congratulations. Do you have any advice for me to get the best start as possible? Yeah, and I'll answer this generically speaking to apply to everybody in this call. So when you start a new job or when you're put into a new department in a company, you're the new kid in town. And what I recommend doing is meeting people and networking a lot in the first 2 weeks because people have their guards down. They want to help you. Okay, and so it's kind of like when you start undergrad or high school. The first 2 weeks of undergrad or the first 2 weeks of high school, you make a lot of friends, and those are still your friends for life. And so the barriers are lower whenever it comes to you starting at a new company. So what I would do is I would network a lot, meet with people in different departments if you can. Look on LinkedIn to find people that went to your high school or undergrad that work at that company and get to know them as well to find mentors. And your boss's assistant is crucial because your boss's assistant has been with the boss probably over multiple companies. They travel together. And your boss's assistant knows how things get done, how the culture works, how to get a promotion, raise, etc. And so I want you to get mentored by your boss's assistant as well. It's really, really important. And this is going to sound strange, but in the first 2 weeks of this new job, I want you to kind of observe how the system works. I don't want you to be too proactive yet. I want you to observe how things happen, because there's different corporate cultures in every single company in terms of hierarchy, and you have to learn how things get done. I know it sounds strange, but it's what I recommend. Yeah. And last thing I'll say, and I hate to say this, I'm going to lose respect for myself for saying this, but I want you to use the FILO mentality. FILO is something I made up, FILO, which means first in, last out. I want you to be first to work and last to leave as well. Obviously, take one day off a week as well, but yeah. And always ask people around you, is there anything else I can help with? Yeah. Okay. And every 3 months, I want you to set a meeting with your boss, and I recommend everybody do this. Every 3 months, set a meeting with your boss and ask for feedback. If you do that every 3 months, the chance of you being let go goes down materially. And when you ask for feedback, you want to basically start off the meeting with this, if true. I'm humbled to be part of this team. We've accomplished a lot. And I'd love to ask you for just feedback on how I'm doing and how I can add more value. And what you can also do is, if you feel comfortable doing this, and if you've been at a company for a while, you can ask your boss. Also, it's very expensive, if true. It's very expensive, as you know, to raise a family here in the Bay Area, wherever you are. And I'd love to ask you, please, what I need to accomplish and contribute to our team in order to get considered for a promotion. And they'll give you a list of criteria. And once you fulfill that criteria, then ask for that promotion. And you'll never get a promotion or a raise unless you ask. One of my platinum students who's from Atlanta, he said he grew up in the ghetto. And he said to me, Chris, I learned one thing in the ghetto. I learned that closed mouths don't get fed. Anybody that gets a promotion or a raise has asked multiple times behind closed doors, one-on-one. That's how you make it to the top or to become a senior executive. You ask many times to get a raise or a promotion. Ask and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. I promise you, this is the way the world works. It's frustrating because when you first join a company or a new company, you keep your head down, you do a good job, and you look around and you notice, hey man, other people around me are getting promoted faster than I am. It's not fair. It's because they asked. And you have to do the same thing as well. And I say it with love in my heart as always. Okay. Next up, Manasro, FTX current CEO is Enron's former CEO now. And I don't think crypto will be regulated anytime soon. Yeah, I humbly disagree. I think regulation is coming. Too much money's been lost. It's sad to say, but there's and this has been publicly disclosed, there's a teacher in one of my kids' schools that took his own life because he lost a fortune because of FTX. It's tragic. So many people have lost, their net worth because of FTX. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's a scam and it needs to be regulated. Yeah. Sorry for disclosing that, but that is publicly disclosed as well, what I just mentioned there. Yeah. Next up, Donovan wrote, what's the difference between the MBA course on Udemy versus the Gold or Platinum MBA on your site? Yeah, I get that question a lot. I don't do a good job explaining it. So my course called Entire MBA One Course on Udemy is, and I'm going to go to the website, learn.harounventures.com. The Udemy course, Entire MBA One Course, is 7.5 hours. These here are over 300 hours. This is over 300 hours. These are about 500 hours, including the optional Q&A sessions. Now, in all three programs, I have, there's 100 short quizzes. That's it. And in order to get the degree, all you need to do is pass half of those quizzes, right? So just get over 50% on half of the quizzes. And then what I'll do is I'll send you, let me just grab it off my wall here. I'll send you your degree as well. Yeah, there's no glass on this because remember I dropped it a couple of years ago during a live webcast. Embarrassing. Yeah. And if anybody has additional questions about this, please let me know. Yeah. Okay. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you don't feel that you're getting at least 10 times return on your investment within the first week, I want you to get your money back. 100% money back guarantee. Yeah, 30 days. Okay. And give me 1 second here. All right. And please continue to type your questions. And what I'll do is soon I'm going to open up Zoom and I'll show you how to access Zoom right now. So in order to open up Zoom, all you have to do to ask me questions over Zoom is go to, I'll show you, harounmba.com/Zoom. Okay, so harounmba.com/Zoom, all lowercase, and just click this link here to join me on the Zoom call. And what I'll do is I'll open up Zoom right now and I'll continue to take your questions. Yeah. And just again, another reminder: this is the last this is the last weekly call of the year. Okay, that's me buying time. Yeah. Okay, great, good. So I'll come back here to check if there are people here joining Zoom. If you have questions about how to join Zoom, etc., let me know. Thank you. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm going to give away the Silver MBA to one person right now. Okay. And here's the question. And whoever answers this question first, the first response I see gets my Silver MBA for free. It's $499. My question is this: why is it that I don't have any text right here? Why is there no text right here? First person to answer will get my Haroun MBA Silver program for free. Yeah. All right. Next up, Alex wrote, Chris, what do you think about food delivery services such as Factor and HelloFresh? Yeah, I don't know anything about them, but I do know that the food delivery business is very crowded. I personally would not want to invest in any of those companies. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, Laura Croft from Germany won. You're correct. Right here, this here is blank because that I put up that little subscribe logo here, which my marketing team wants me to do. So congratulations, Laura. Laura, please email support@harounventures.com. And then what I'll do is I'll send you a free coupon to join my Silver MBA. Yeah, congratulations. Thank you. So again, that's email support@harounventures.com. Okay. Next up, Michael wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, what are your thoughts on investing in lithium mining market? And Michael, I saw, Michael, you posted this last night. It didn't appear when you posted it because only questions you post a couple hours before the call actually show up. And you asked another question as well about how to become a more knowledgeable investor, which I'll answer in a second as well. I took a screen print of that. Thank you. Yeah. So with respect to investing in the lithium mining market, have I done research on Atlantic Lithium before? I've not. I've done a lot of research though on rare minerals and rare earth. And what you want to do is whenever you're investing in commodity companies, be it oil, lithium, whatever, you want to make sure two things are happening today and in the long run. Prices are going up and volume is going up in terms of how much a company is extracting. It's a pretty simplistic methodology. But again, if prices go up and volume goes up, then it's usually a good investment. And in my MBA degree program, I teach you how to analyze any company, including lithium companies too, all companies, with many templates and tools so that you can run circles around the competition. And it's based on my work experience at Goldman Sachs, the venture capital industry, what I learned at Columbia University 8 million years ago when I did my MBA, as well as when I worked at hedge funds, et cetera. All right. And then Michael posted another question last night, and I have a screen print of it, which is, I'm looking to become a better and more knowledgeable investor. What course or courses do you recommend for learning from the ground up? Yeah. So I recommend checking out my MBA degree program. You could start today, the silver version, or you can wait and join a gold or platinum. Gold and platinum, there's limited seats. It's a smaller class, and we start that on January the 30th. But I teach you everything about investing in this program. Yeah, with all brand new content. Yeah, all filmed in 4K, although you'll see 1080, but it's been future-proof with 5 camera angles. Yeah, I spent about $1 million, actually over $1 million putting it together. And it's been a great investment with a great return, humbly. Yeah. But more importantly, a better investment for my students. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, Tether, a stable coin, is facing backlash because Binance and Coinbase are asking customers to switch from Tether to US dollar C. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I don't know too much about that. Tether is basically a placeholder for when you want to buy a certain crypto. You go to Tether, you cash to Tether to buy whatever crypto. Yeah, but I think USDC makes a hell of a lot more sense. Yeah. If that is US dollar crypto you're referring to. Yeah, or representative, I should say, of the US dollar. Yeah. Just make sure you keep all your money in a cold storage wallet. Thank you. Okay, give me 1 second just to do a check here. Okay. All right. All right, next up, Manas wrote, if Binance fails, God forbid, then what happens? Yeah, Binance is the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. They were about to buy FTX International Assets, but whenever you want to buy a company, legally you can see all their financials, and they backed away for obvious reasons because there's fraud. If Binance goes belly up, then I'd say all bets are off for cryptos. Yeah. It's that and Coinbase, I think, are the most reputable ones. Yeah. I don't think that would happen. But if it does happen, then God forbid you keep your money, your cryptos there. And I've said this before, I say it again today, keep all your cryptos in a cold storage wallet, meaning offline, please. Yeah. And Manas wrote, why are you not vlogging? Yeah, so we changed our vlogging strategy. So what we're doing is we're doing fewer videos, but much higher quality. And so because I've vlogged about everything, like I've gotten so many questions over the past 5 years that I've vlogged about that there's not that much new stuff. And so what I've done is all of my my daily vlogging now go to TikTok. We're growing very fast on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok if you want to. If you're bored in the house board. And my name is at Chris Haroun, all one word, on TikTok. Instagram, we're more active as well. Now, in terms of YouTube, again, we're doing higher quality stuff. And I'm teaching based on movies as well. And I'll meet you guys soon here. But if you go to my YouTube channel, okay, right here, let me go here. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find that I'm doing, if we go here to videos and sort by release date, I'm doing mainly like Wall Street Pro reacts to stuff, like Wall Street Pro reacts to the movie Wall Street as well. Here you can see Wolf of Wall Street as well as Billions. So it's much higher quality stuff, and you can check this out if you want to. I even got a Bobby Axelrod shirt for the latest one I recorded last night or a couple days ago. Yeah, but just higher quality stuff. It's more fun too. It's more engaging. Yeah. And in terms of repurposing my content in other platforms, I still do it. Again, as I mentioned, on TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. Yeah. Okay. And then Manas wrote, the Pentagon gave Ukraine the green signal to attack inside Russia, reported by the Times. Do you think this will have implications? Yeah, well, I mean, the United States government just sent over a bunch of Patriot missiles as well. Yeah, so this is Cold War Part 2. And my kids back in February, they asked me, they said, Dad, when is this war going to end? And I said, it won't. It's decades. It'll be decades. This is like the Cold War Part 2, which the Cold War Part 1 lasted from the late 1940s, essentially until the early 1990s. And so basically just think of what happened in terms of the USSR being dismantled, cut up into lots of countries. Well, Putin is trying to do the opposite of that. Yeah, it's tragic. Yeah. Okay. And then Pulasti wrote, Chris, what do you think is the cause of global inflation? Yeah, well, it's Russia, without a doubt. Because oil goes into every product we make, oil and natty gas, from this to the machines that make these, to machines that make these, etc. Plastics is essentially all oil as well. So we would have had a soft landing post-COVID. We would have had a soft landing this year in January, right? But then in February, Russia attacked Ukraine, which drove the price of oil up materially. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, thank you for everything, my mentor. See you next week and forever and ever again. And thank you for those emojis, and God bless you. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I won't be here next week. My next webcast is going to be first week of January. Yeah. Okay. All right. Neil wrote, hey, Chris, Iron Condor expires tomorrow. Yeah, for those of you not familiar with an Iron Condor, it's an options instrument, which involves 4 options that you create, right? You buy to, sell to. And basically, it allows you to make money from a lack of volatility if you're on one side of the trade or vice versa. And so you wrote, that position expires tomorrow. If I sell the long position today, it leaves me with a naked put and call out of the money. Any way I can be hurt by exercise or assignments. Yeah. The way it works, generally speaking, is this. If you underwrite, meaning if you sell an option, right? So as part of that 4-part option, you have it probably 1 or 2 parts of it that you sold. You can get random assignment. Okay, what that means is if anybody purchased a similar option, not just the one you sold or that you sold to somebody, but if anybody else purchased it, the option exchange can technically assign you. Okay, and there's a 10% chance of that, and that statistic is debatable. But what I recommend that you do is you call the company that you purchased the option through. Okay, and you explain to them, what is the most amount of money I can lose. Okay, ask them to explain it to you. Then you explain it back to them using customer service, because all those calls are recorded for quality assurance. Yeah, just be careful, please. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Priam wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, you wrote, you look stunning. Thank you. I feel great. Thank you. Although Manas said I don't sound great, but I feel great. Yeah, thank you. You wrote, hope you're doing well. New Year's coming soon. By the way, little side note here. I got decent sleep last night, but my eyes looked underneath the bags for some reason. So I threw this stuff on here. It's called Peter Thomas Roth. Like, I don't understand why people get Botox when you can use this stuff. And what you put it on, you wait 5 minutes, it dries, and you don't look as tired. Yeah. It's $28 for a pack of 3, Peter Thomas Roth. Yeah. Maybe I'm beautiful. Maybe it's Maybelline. I'm just kidding. Thank you for that. You wrote, New Year's coming soon. What would be the best advice you can tell your younger version of yourself? Thanks. Yeah, wow. I would say don't give a damn what people think of you. Because if you focus on what other people are thinking of you, you'll drive yourself crazy. It could lead to mental health issues, which I've had before. Yeah. And just kind of march to the beat of your own drum and just do what makes you happy. Don't try to impress anybody. Take risks, start a company, get a new job in an industry you're more passionate about. Do what makes you happy, and write down your goals too. Because what happens, and write a deadline date, because 90% of people roughly give up on their New Year's resolutions by the 3rd week of January. And the reason is because they don't set a deadline date. So set a deadline date as well. Yeah. But in hindsight, I would have told myself, Chris, stop being so insecure and don't give a damn what people think of you. And finally, when I worked, maybe that's why I worked at Goldman Sachs. I wanted approval. Who knows? And eventually in 2016, when I was working at VC, I said, enough is enough, man. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to teach. And it wasn't about the money, but I'm humbled to say that my courses, I feel bad mentioning this, but I only want to mention this to impress upon you the fact that you should follow your heart. My courses have generated over 10 million revenue. It's been amazing. It's never been about the money. It's been about helping people. Follow your heart, take chances, and everything will work out. And I remember when I first started doing this, for the first couple of years, people are like, do you want to come back to the hedge fund industry or venture capital? I have a position for you. You're crazy. Are you okay? And when they think you're crazy, that's a good thing. When they think you're crazy to do something and you're successful, then you become crazy genius or just genius. I'm still in the crazy mode though. Yeah. And also another thing I want to say is from a mental health perspective, don't be afraid to take a day off work when you're mentally stressed out. Like, don't go into work when you're mentally stressed. Otherwise, there could be a CLM, career limiting move. You might not be yourself in a meeting. We take days off every year for being physically sick, But mentally sick, it's okay, man. There's nothing wrong with it. I recommend at least 1 or 2 days a year. Call in sick because you're mentally sick. Yeah. It's a great investment in yourself. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up. Hey, Paul, how are you? Paul is in my Platinum MBA program, Paul Brow. He's from Barcelona. You guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I was wearing that Qatar wonderful shirt. Paul gave that to me during the summer of 2018. I think it was 18 when I went to 2019, when I went to Barcelona. I saw him there. He's a great guy. Paul, good to see you. So Paul wrote, Chris, good morning. Catching your Q&A today. I'm having so much fun with the MBA. It's crazy. Thank you. And you wrote, great job, man. An unbelievable amount of things you can learn from it. Highly recommend to anybody. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. And then you wrote, but beside the learnings and the amazing students, it also helps you change your mindset, which I can say it'll do wonders in whatever you're after in your professional and personal life. Again, congrats. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah. And it was wonderful walking with you down the Rumbla as well with my kids. One of them had a meltdown. I remember that. Yeah. And thanks again for those shirts. God bless you. Moving on to Renvir, who wrote, hey, Chris, ChatGPT is not available in my country, and it seems like I still can't use it with a VPN. How do you think I can use it? That's strange. It should work. It should work. Do a search on just ChatGPT. Maybe don't use the web address I used. You should be able to get it through a VPN. Yeah, you should. And the best VPN to use, and the one I recommend, and Marcus Brownlee told me about this, is on his YouTube blog. Is ExpressVPN. I use it all the time. It's amazing. You download it, and it's like $8 or $9 a month, right? And you can use it on all your devices. And then you select whatever country you want people to think you're from. I did Canada in this case. You click this, connect, and you're connected. Yeah. Highly recommend this product. Again, it's called ExpressVPN. Yeah. Okay. Next up, EB94 wrote, hey, Chris, any advice on Fintech, meaning finance and technology, the crossover industry between finance and tech, any projections on what could come of that? Yeah, I think anything AI-based is going to do incredibly well within Fintech. I would take a look at Palantir. It's a publicly traded company. I invested when it was a private company, venture capital. I sold pre-IPO. But I would look for companies similar to that. Also, there's a woman that I want you to follow on LinkedIn. Her name is Vanessa Colella. She's great. I've met her before. And she is the authority on, I met her a couple times actually, the authority on the sector. So Vanessa, here she, yeah. And so she was a head of VC at Citigroup for years. She moved on. She's now the head of innovation and digital partnerships at Visa. Okay, so I would follow her, and anything she publishes, I want you to read. She's great. Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah, so she headed up Citi Ventures, which is the largest venture capital arm of a bank when it comes to fintech in the world. Yeah. And what I also recommend that you do is you go to the venture capital websites of the top 5 venture capital firms, and you follow the partners companies that are publicly disclosed on those VC websites that do fintech. One website you can go to is a16z.com. That's Andreessen Horowitz. So a16z.com. You can also go to sequoiacap.com, and you can do Kleiner Perkins and 1 or 2 others if you want to. And just look at their portfolio companies. Yeah. All right. Next up, Michael wrote, what is your MBA course best suited for? It's for anybody. I mean, the total addressable market is wide open. Anybody that wants to learn more about finance and accounting, investing, sales, marketing, communications, entrepreneurship, personal growth, programming now, everything. And you can take it on any device. You can do it on iPhone, Android handset, desktop, laptop, television, etc. Yeah. And the reason I made it is because I wrote this book years ago when I worked in venture capital. I'll show it to you here. It's called 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School. And you can get this book for free. Just go to my YouTube channel and watch my channel trailer. But the problem with business school, and I have an MBA from Columbia, which is a decent university. The problem with business schools, they don't teach you lessons you need to be successful in business. It's ridiculous. My MBA program teaches the following skills that are not taught in almost all MBA programs: how to sell, how to network, how to do personal finance, right? Like, how does a mortgage work and all that stuff. You're taught how to manage other people's money, but not your own money. I teach you how to present. I teach you social media. I teach you cryptocurrencies. I teach you programming. I teach you tons of things that are not taught in traditional MBA schools at a fraction of the cost. And the cost of my MBA program is literally the cost of 1 or 2 hours at a top-ranked school. Yeah, and my students get the same jobs, at least the ones that network aggressively, as people get from traditional MBA schools like HBS, Harvard Business School. 2/3 of HBS is BS. That's right. Maybe 2/3 of Haroun Business School is too. I don't know. Or as some people call it, Haroun. People always mispronounce my name. My last name rhymes with baboon. Now you'll never forget. Yeah, and I look like a baboon. Yeah. Okay. Now, if anybody wants to join Zoom, I'll let you guys in soon. I see there's a bunch of people waiting. So just go to harounmba.com/Zoom to join, and I'll open that up soon. Okay. Next up, Michael wrote, what do you know that you wish you knew when you started? Yeah, when I started this. Yeah. So when it comes to getting customers online, you have to understand that that advertising or marketing, it's like dating. You can't get married right away. You have to go on many dates. And so you're dating customers. And so for me, this is week 212 of doing this weekly webcast. You got to think long term. The longer the view, the wiser the intention. And you got to give away a lot of content as well. And just understand that nobody buys a product until they've seen like 20 commercials. Like you don't buy a Toyota until you've seen at least 20 commercials. Yeah. And I recommend, and I'm happy I've done so, leveraging social media for free marketing. And if you think about it, Elon Musk, have you ever seen a Tesla commercial? No, neither have I. He uses social media and controversy too. And if you use controversy, be tasteful, like what I said about HBS. Yeah. Because most companies, like Coca-Cola, for example, most companies spend 10% of their revenue every year on advertising. So Coca-Cola has $40 billion in revenue every year, and they spend $4 billion in advertising. But if you leverage social media and you help people and you give, you will receive in the long run. But you got to give with your heart. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Mutaz wrote, would you teach copywriting in your MBA or maybe a separate online course? I do cover that in my MBA program. Yeah. And for anybody that's in the MBA degree program, if you want, what you can do, just go to this website here at the very top, do a search for any topic, and you'll see exactly where it is in the MBA program. You can click and start watching that lecture if you signed up. Yeah. But just use OpenGPT for copywriting. Yeah. Kidding, sort of. Okay. Okay. All right, next up, Paul wrote, and what I'm going to do is, while I answer these questions, I'm going to open up Zoom here. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'll admit everybody. All right, here we go. I'll turn this on so you can see my ugly face. Okay, great. And as you guys come on the call, just start asking questions if you want. Again, to join Zoom, all you have to do is go to harounmba.com/Zoom. And a reminder that this is the last call of this year. Yeah. And so Paul Brow wrote, by the way, Chris, I'm a platinum MBA student in my program, but I can't book any one-on-one calls using the calendar, not only December, but through 2023. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Thanks. It should work. Yeah. Why don't you do this? Email support@harounventures.com, and I'll personally respond to you. And I'll get you slots as well. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manos wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. If you go to interview Putin, which I wouldn't, if you go to interview Putin for an hour, what would you say? And what would you never say? Yeah. I'd probably ask him a lot about human rights. If I could ask him any questions in which he would disclose and be 100% open and honest with me, I'd probably ask him this. I'd probably say, do you plan to use the ruble forever, or do you view oil as your new currency? Yeah. Now, Putin, what he did was when he graduated from undergrad, his thesis, he did a degree in geology. His thesis was what would happen to the USSR if they controlled the bulk of the world's commodities. It's a commodities race at this point, and he's using oil as a weapon as well. Yeah. And he was completely against Gorbachev, dismantling the USSR. He wants to reassemble it. Yeah. Not a fan of him. Okay. And my new website was created entirely by a guy in Ukraine who I paid incredibly well. Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah. All right. And I have lots of scholarships for my students, from 100% scholarships that are from Ukraine. Yeah. All right. Now, if anybody wants to ask a question here, you can go ahead and do so here on Zoom. Okay. All right. Just unmute yourself and ask away. All right. Next up, Shakar wrote, I use Proton VPN. It's a free version, which is very good. Awesome. Yeah, very cool. ExpressVPN works out great for me. Greg, how are you?
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you. Why don't you let our students know where you're from and a little bit about yourself, and then ask any questions you have, please.
Greg Clark. I'm from Seattle. Aerospace engineer. Took the MBA class last year. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Excellent. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Did you worked at Boeing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. I remember I invested in Boeing back in the early 2000s because of the 787 Dreamliner. And I remember I went up to Seattle. I visited their headquarters, corporate offices in Chicago, but I went to Seattle to go into the plant to see it being made. And they had one plant there where they made the 747, which was 10 football fields under one roof. It's unbelievable. It's incredible.
Yeah. I worked on the 777X composite wing.
Very cool.
I was a research and development and manufacturing specialist.
Very cool.
I got to work in Italy for a year. That was fun.
Oh, nice.
Working on the 787.
Very cool.
In the beginning.
I love the 787. So cool. That bird has got wings like this. It's more fuel efficient and all that stuff as well. Let me ask you a question. What is the most important thing you learned about business working for Boeing?
Well, it's gotten more political as I got the longer I was there. So, making connections and communication is really important. And so it can be tough sometimes. Sometimes you just have to shut up and do what the boss says, and other times you have to stand up and stop them from doing something you don't agree with.
Yeah. Well, it's like the U.S. government, which is one of their biggest customers, obviously. It's just a big bureaucracy. It happens with all companies. I remember when I invested in Boeing, they were spinning off certain subsidiaries and then having other companies produce. Like the fuselage was created by Spear. Was it Spear? Yeah, they spun off a bunch of divisions. Spirit. That was it. Years ago. Yeah. It seems like the market doesn't like conglomerates anymore, which is why GE is spinning off their healthcare division. Just a better way to produce if you just focus on one or two things. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, they had a big problem with people leaving because of like golden handshakes and stuff during COVID, and now they're trying to hire people back.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So they cut into muscle, not just fat. Yeah. Interesting. Excellent. Well, please let me know if you have any questions. And thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
I've been promoting like people to develop an investment philosophy or policy statement. I think it would be good to add to your course or something.
Cool.
So people decide, they can put down what kind of risk level they want and what kind of investor they want to be. So it kind of gives you a basis instead of hopping around between different philosophies.
Yeah.
You should think of that.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And so in the course, I talk about growth versus value investing. Just do a search on growth or value in the curriculum. And also you can do a search on risk management. Now, when it comes to investment philosophies, people are either growth investors or value investors. And it's like religion. It really, people argue a lot. So a growth investor, which is what I am now, although I do some value investments, growth investors don't care about earnings today or next year. They care about earnings in the long run, and they want the company to invest in growth. Value investors like Warren Buffett like to buy companies that are cheap, but they're not growing very fast, but they're cheap. And so every company goes from growth to value, right? Like Boeing was a growth stock for years. Google is a growth stock, and now it's slowly becoming value. And when a company transitions from growth to value, when it's in that transition phase, it's in investment purgatory, and you never want to invest. And the reason is because if a company is not classified as growth investors won't buy it. If a company is not classified as value investors won't buy it. And so it's stuck in purgatory. And it usually takes a decade for a stock to go from growth to value. And at that point, the stock does nothing for years, unless an activist investor comes in like Carl Icahn to break it up, to make it go from growth to value faster in order to unlock shareholder value or break up the company. Yeah. And now in terms of risk management and portfolio management, I never recommend that any of my students have more than 5% of their money in any one particular stock or investment. So that means in your investment portfolio, you should own at least 20 stocks. I also recommend that you don't have more than 20% exposure to a certain sector. For example, the tech sector, no more than 20%. Industrials, no more than 20%. Consumer, cyclicals, etc. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also like if you in the curriculum, we do a case study also on Warren Buffett's portfolio, and a case study on, and he's a value investor, a case study also on Investors Business Daily's portfolio, meaning William O'Neill. William O'Neill is the quintessential growth investor. Yeah. Cool.
So the professor you recommended, Demidorian,
Yes,
has a really good book called Investment Philosophies that can help people decide what kind of investor they want to be.
Yeah, no, he's great. And and whenever I go into the office of somebody more successful than me, which is every meeting, I always look at their bookshelf and I order the books. So I used to work at a hedge fund called Citadel, and I spent a half an hour one day talking one-on-one with Ken Griffin, who's the billionaire founder of the company's CEO. And on his bookshelf, the only finance books he had were all Demidorian books. And for those of you not familiar with Demidorian, he's a finance professor at NYU. He's the only professor I recommend for which you read textbooks. Now, McGraw-Hill and I just signed a contract last night, actually, for me to make a book. And so it's going to come out in November of 2023, and it's going to be part of their Essential series, right? So they sent me these. It'll be called Finance and Accounting Essentials. It's going to be 50,000 words. It's going to be it's a smaller book. Yeah. So anyway, pretty excited to be partnering with them. But Demidorian's books will be better than mine. That's for sure. Yeah.
I also got the Demidorian book on valuation on Kindle, and it has all kind of links to spreadsheets and updates for the book and stuff. So I'd recommend that.
Very cool. I'll check it out.
Kindle version.
Thank you. Excellent. Cool. And if anybody,
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. It's always good to see you. Are you doing anything special for the holidays?
Well, I told you I was going up to Whistler. Going to go skiing. I've never been up there before.
Oh, it's great. You'll love it. Yeah. It's my grandfather and my mom were born in Vancouver. Yeah, Whistler's beautiful. Yeah, you'll love it. Yeah. Excellent. Cool. And we got Radu on the call as well. And then somebody is talking. If you want, whoever that is talking, you can share your screen or just ask a question. Completely up to you. And then we've got Radu. Radu is from Romania. He's one of my MBA students. How are you today, bud?
Yeah, I'm cool. A bit tired, but I learn a lot.
Cool. Well, it's good.
Today I was in meetings, but productive meetings.
Right. Good.
In finances. So in lending, learning a bit more about lending, about things like that. And it was really cool.
Excellent. Excellent.
And by the way, I asked you yesterday about the XDA form, those
For
PDF that have more interaction.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you mentioned I'm not recommending it, I had the click yes, that's bad.
Yeah.
Because yes, of course, I take the PDF from the finance minister, how it's here, and I cannot edit it almost anywhere. I need to go to Adobe, things like that, and that's a lot of friction.
Yeah.
So no, we don't want that.
Good.
But in the same time, I was looking at simple PDF, fillable forms in PDF. That's the normal thing.
Yeah.
But the interface for Adobe Acrobat Pro, in my opinion, it's bad. And the product is quite expensive. It's 20 euros per month or something like that. It's shockingly expensive for what it is.
Yeah, it's part of the creative suite. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking why and what are the alternatives, and I was shocked to see that LibreOffice, you know, the free version of Office that's developed by Apache, can handle fillable forms.
Yeah.
And the interface is nicer and it's faster to work with that.
Yeah.
With a free product. And I exported to PDF with fillable forms that are compatible, open it in Adobe, and it works.
Very cool. Very cool.
It did the same for in Adobe Acrobat, and it was shocking.
Awesome. Hey, Radu, while I've got you live, because I know that you're in the technology sector and you're a genius when it comes to programming, have you seen any innovative uses of OpenGPT?
I was not looking into it.
You haven't looked into it. I check it out. It's unbelievable. At the beginning of today's call, I gave a demo on OpenGPT, and it changes everything. It makes me feel like when I first started using Google back in the late 90s. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Cool. And Radu, do you have any questions?
No, I wanted to say that there's a lot of discussion in technology about OpenGPT, about this ChatGPT, like it was a few months ago about that OpenAI when they released the picture, the design logo with AI and things like that. But I said, okay, I'm not reading any of it. It's not my direct interest right now because I have a lot of projects on my mind. So I stay a bit away from that discussion still.
Right. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting stuff. Very cool. Very well. I'm glad you got that PDF issue resolved. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if anybody has questions, and I see that there's a bunch of people here on Zoom, please just open up your camera and you can ask a question. And Radu as well, brother. If you have questions, let me know.
I will go to the PC. I have the notes there.
Sure.
I'm checking in the oven in the kitchen, and I'll come back with the questions soon.
All right, brother. Sounds good, man. Thank you. Thank you. All right, cool. And while I'm waiting for people to come on to, here we go. Savalia, how are you? It looks like you're on mute. Please unmute yourself. Nice to meet you. Tell us where you're from, a little bit about yourself, please.
Nice to meet you. I'm sorry, I look a little tired because I wasn't planning on being on camera today.
No, you look
but
you
it's
look great.
really nice to meet you. I have been following your courses for many years now.
Thank you.
And I'm, but only on Udemy until now. And I just won the MBA program on the call.
Oh, that was you. Oh, awesome, awesome. So you're Laura Croft, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and you're from and you're from Germany, right?
Right.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, congratulations, and it's a
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Yeah,
excellent,
excellent.
So, I have a question regarding because I tell it right away. It doesn't let me stand very good, but I have been failing in business for the last 3 years. Because my goals were way too high. I set way too high. So right now I'm trying something more realistic. Let's say it like that. And I want to have a lead generation agency, but I'm really overwhelmed with I have so many opportunities, and each customer has the opportunity of big budget, and I just don't know where to sort it out, how to decide, will I take a contract only on provisions and invest, or would I rather try to build up slowly and have a fixum as a business development representative or something like that? So that is a really difficult thing to decide, because until now in my business I do have a stable income, but it's very low at the moment. Yeah. So I do enjoy the stability, but I do want to get to the next step as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And not very high risk.
Yeah. So you're talking about your side hustle lead generation. You want to scale it, and you're curious, how do you scale it quickly and profitably? Yeah. So what I recommend is in the MBA degree program, which you just won, in the third semester, there's nothing in here, but in the third semester, there's a venture capital boot camp. And it's E3-1 through E3-5. That'll make sense when you take the program. That's the entrepreneurship track. Semester 3 classes 1 through 5. It's about 15 hours where I teach you how to write a business plan. I provide you with all the tools you need as well, templates, tools, etc. And failing to plan is planning to fail. And so I ask you about 800 or 900 questions, and you document everything. And what comes out of that is a business plan. And I recommend doing it first so you don't spend a penny on your, fix my bald spot. So you don't spend a penny on starting this company. And my forte, my specialty humbly, is I help my students to start companies without using any money. And if you're going to produce a product, you have customers pay for it first. Okay.
Yes. And I didn't tell you that, but I took the MBA program on Udemy 3 years ago, and I had right away an investor with €100,000 to jump into my company. Very cool. Which was really, really good. But at the other side, it was a complete, I didn't follow up with the courses, so it was a complete catastrophe afterwards.
Yeah. Well, that course is 7.5 hours. This one that you just won is 300 hours plus. You can join Zoom every Thursday at 10 a.m. for an hour, and I'm here to humbly help you in any way I can. I'm glad that you want it for free. It's going to help you, I promise. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And it's a pleasure to meet you as well. Thank you.
Me too.
Excellent. Cool. Speaking of Germany, we have Phil Germany, who's not from Germany. He actually lives in the United States, in Ohio, I think. He's one of my platinum students in my MBA program. Phil was also the very first student of mine to ever write a book. It's called Super Students. It's about chess. He's one of my super students. You can get his book on Amazon as well. And he used my template, which you can all use for free by going to harounmba.com/all lowercase, write book. Phil, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm always great, thanks. It's good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Excellent. Why don't you introduce yourself to our students? Let us know a little bit about yourself as well. Thanks.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Chris, I live in the United States, live in Ohio. My day job is engineering. I work at Rockwell Automation. Ticker ROK. ROK.
Yeah.
I should know my own ticker. I should know my own ticker or whatever. Yeah. But I took the Chris, you know this, but I took the class, the Platinum MBA. I think it was 2020 or whatever. And I still have some modules to go through because when I was sick, I didn't get a chance to finish everything, so I still gotta do some catching up or whatever. And that leads me to one of my questions as far as picking stuff. The market, like you said, the market, when the market's on sale or whatever, you should buy. Buy when others are running, from the market or whatever. The thing I have trouble with is picking the actual stocks or securities or ETFs or whatever. Picking which one. I mean, there's a gazillion of them. So, I think I have trouble with picking the first or trying to pick some and then doing the work as far as the legwork, the valuations, and
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
I have trouble just, I guess the first step is picking the actual stock of which one to start doing the work.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question is, how do you pick,
Yeah.
other than flipping a coin or covering your eyes and throwing a dart or whatever. How do you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
Or what's the best way to pick the?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right to want to look at buying stocks when they're being beaten up. Warren Buffett said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. And so you got to be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Now, in terms of picking stocks, if you don't have time to do the research on stocks, I always recommend just buying VOO, ticker VOO. And ticker VOO represents the S&P 500. It's got the lowest fees of any ETF out there as well. And the S&P 500 is up 10.5% every year on average historically. And it's very well diversified as well, ticker VOO, because it represents the 500 stocks that make up the U.S. economy. In terms of doing research on individual companies, I always recommend investing in what you know and what you're most passionate about first. So you work at Rockwell, ticker ROK, and obviously you can't invest in your own company unless you're given options for insider information reasons. But I would invest in other defense contracting companies that you understand based on your research. Now, in terms of doing investment research, if you go to EMS 4-2, that's Economics Management Strategy Semester 4 Class 2 in the MBA program, there's a 100-step template I provide you with that'll help you crystallize your thought process and write either a 1-page or a 150-page report on any stock. In that 100-step template in EMS 4-2, what I do is I help you understand the fundamentals, valuation, and lastly, technicals of any company. I'll help you also understand the drivers of that company as well. And there's about 1,000 questions I ask you in that part of the program. I give you all the templates you need in the program, as you know. About 1,000 questions I ask you. And all 1,000 of those questions feed into either a 1-page report, which I create for you, or a 150-page report. And I want you to, I know it's a lot of work. It's crazy. It is a hell of a lot of work. It'll take a couple weeks on each stock to do it. I only want you to buy stocks if you answer all those questions and document everything. And quite often, and I've written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 1-pagers, investment thesis in my career. And a lot of them, when I start working on it, I never complete them. And the reason is through my due diligence process, I figure out that it's just not a great investment. So again, start with what you understand, maybe the sector you work in, and what you're most passionate about. You can also think about this. Think about what sectors and companies are going to be more relevant than they are today in 5 years. And before you invest in any company, you ask yourself, are people going to use this product or service more often in 5 years or less often? So for example, with Google, you might say to yourself, given OpenGPT, say your thesis is that OpenGPT will take off. People will probably use Google less often in 5 years because of this. Kind of like years ago, people looking at Yahoo would say, people are going to be searching with Yahoo less often in 5 years versus today. And that's just one of the many tricks and tools that I provide you with so you don't get seduced by cheap valuation on stocks. Some stocks are cheap for a reason. Yeah. Now, what I also teach you, and the most important aspect of this entire investment research process, is how to create a financial model and forecast the future revenues and earnings and expenses of a company so you can value that company based on your earnings estimates in 5 or 10 years. And that's how the most sophisticated investors make the most money. They think long term. My forte is helping my students understand how to invest in 5x5s. What that means is a 500% return within 5 years. And that's based on whatever your earnings estimate is in 5 or 10 years from now. Now, obviously, I can't make 500% on all the stocks I invest in. But if I do a lot of research and I see 500% upside, if I'm wrong, it only goes up 100%, then hey, that's pretty good. Now, I never tell my students what stocks to buy. Instead of providing you with a fish, I teach you how to fish so you can eat for a lifetime. But using all these templates and tools I provide in my MBA degree program will help you, take your career to the next level, whatever, improve your LinkedIn profile, write a business plan, invest better, and all that stuff. Yeah.
I I own some REITs.
Yeah.
And, some are doing well.
Yeah.
But they're paying good dividends.
Yeah.
Is it worth holding on to a REIT that's maybe stagnant or, not doing so well just for the dividends, or
yeah.
Is that a loser?
Yeah, sure. Just right quickly, I'll explain REITs quickly for anybody that's not curious about how they work. So REITs are real estate investment trusts. They're basically tickers like stocks you can buy. And by law, they have to pay out 90% of their profits as dividends. And so they usually have high dividend yields. Never, ever, 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 ever invest in a company that's got an insanely high dividend without doing your research first, because the market might be anticipating that dividend is not sustainable or that company has legal problems. In terms of what to do with the REITs, it's all relative to what else you own in your portfolio. So if you own a real estate investment trust that's paying you a 6 or 7% dividend yield, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty good, yeah. But do the research on it first using the templates I provide you with in the MBA degree program. If you can make 7% on a REIT in this market per year, I think that's pretty damn good, yeah. But I'd be diversified. Be diversified too. Like, don't have more than 20% of your portfolio in REITs, and don't have more than 5% of any of your investments in your portfolio in one particular stock or REIT. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
That's even though if the company, like I say, if it's not, I don't want to say if it's doing horrible, but if it's just like not, if it's just kind of like riding along and not, there's no major fluctuations.
Yeah,
it's still if the dividend is reasonable or pretty good, it's still worth.
Yeah, because if the stock, it's like owning a United States Treasury instrument or government bond, right? It won't go up in value, but you'll get to clip that coupon, right? Yeah. So and it's all relative to it. Make sure again that in your portfolio, no more than 20% in one sector and no more than 5% in any one particular stock or REIT. So you can't own more than 4 REITs.
I see. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. Yeah. Cool. And if you have additional questions, please let me know. We got a lot of people here on Zoom. If anybody wants to come off of mute or turn their camera on and ask a question, by all means, please do so. You guys can also continue to ask questions here. I see there's a lot of them here in chat here on YouTube. Yeah, and Phil, any more questions, buddy?
No, not right now. That's a lot.
Yeah. Cool.
That's pretty much what I was driving.
Awesome.
Because I was just struggling as far as like the picking what stock to, because I was doing that the other night, and I'm like, other than throwing darts or whatever, how I didn't do it. So you explained that. Explained that pretty well. That model, that 100 question model that you're talking about, just offhand, do you know what section?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah. So go to EMS 4-2. So Economics Management and Strategy, semester 4, class number 2. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I got to that part yet or not. So.
And if you
want, thanks a lot.
Of course. And Phil, last thing I'll say is that as you create an investment report on any company, I'm happy, during office hours now or during the Gold and Platinum weekly office hours to do a model review with you. I can look through your financial model and just offer my humble thoughts on your forecasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take you. I'll take you up on that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Man. That'll be a big help. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, buddy. Thanks. Thank you. Cool. All right, Alex. Please unmute yourself. And Alex P., I got to say one thing. You mentioned Utah and snow. I thought you were from Canada because I called you Alex P. Keaton before. I'm so sorry for that mistake. But that's a compliment. Yeah.
For everyone on the call, I got to tell you. So Chris has been calling me Alex P. Keaton for quite some time now.
You just changed your name there too. I love it in the bottom corner.
Yeah. So he has this like character from Canada or something.
Yeah.
And I'm always just referenced, so I have to tell everyone. But no, I'm not from Canada.
Yeah.
I'm a big Utah Utes fan, and as I mentioned, we're getting pounded with snow today. Yeah. Chris, I don't have any questions really about business or anything, but I know that you're going to be watching this on Sunday. Who's winning the World Cup, France or Argentina?
Oh God, I would say Argentina. You can't mess with Messi, but I got to be intellectually honest. I'm not a massive soccer fan. Because you're Canadian like me, I'm a hockey fan. You know, like we like hockey, eh? Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not a huge soccer fan. Yeah.
Are you a Messi fan?
I like watching him. If I saw him walking down the street, I wouldn't recognize him. But yeah. But my exposure to Messi is just my son Andrew. He loves FIFA on the PS5, and so I'll play sometimes as that. And yeah. But I did see Pele play when I was a kid. He played for the New York Cosmos, and he came to Canada to play the Toronto Blizzards, and that was a treat. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who do you think will win?
So I don't know. I spent some time in Brazil, so the thing is, Brazil and Argentina, they really don't like each other, as you probably know. Yeah. And so I probably would have to, just for that fact, I'd probably have to go with France. I mean, I think Mbappe is kind of one of the rising kind of soccer stars that's probably going to come out in the next little while. I don't know. I don't really like Messi, to be honest. I don't know why. I'm really glad that this is his last World Cup, so I'm hoping France kind of spoils it for him. Yeah. But I'm thinking France is probably going to take the cake. But I was hoping that Brazil or Portugal are probably going to go far. Obviously, the U.S. has gotten a little bit better as the soccer their soccer maturation has increased. But I'm thinking. I was hoping that, like I said, Brazil and Portugal were going to go far, but I'm hoping that France takes it.
Yeah. Is it 7 a.m. or what time is it going to be on Sunday, the game?
I think that's a good question.
I think it's going to be
like 4
I think it's 10 a.m. I think it's 10 a.m. in the East.
Okay, so 7 a.m. California time. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be sleeping in. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's all, but Merry Christmas, cool. Chris.
Yeah, you too, brother. Thank you. You ever go snowing at Snowbird or skiing at Snowbird?
Oh yeah, no, I lived right below a little Comet Canyon. So, but if you the real skiers, they don't go to Snowbird, they go to Alta.
Okay.
So
cool.
You gotta if you're in that area, you go to Alta. Don't go to Snowbird.
Yeah, I used to. So every year I would go to Utah for a Novell company I invested in when it was publicly traded. It was a good Linux play for a while. I would go to, it's called BrainShare, which is their annual conference there. And I loved it. And the coolest thing about Snowbird, and I never saw this growing up, but you guys have those big cannons that you'll fire into the side of the hill to create avalanches. That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
They're what they are is they're howitzers.
Yeah.
So they're actually were used they were supposed to use for World War II, but they had such a big supply of them, so they used these howitzers to launch to do, as you mentioned, avalanche mitigation.
So cool.
And do that. But it's kind of you'll be right on the lift, and then you'll just hear this boom, and it kind of startles you because of the loudness of it. But that's what that is.
That is very cool, man. It's awesome. Excellent, man. Well, I will not call you Alex P. Keaton unless you want me to.
No, you definitely can. It's a good.
Okay.
I take it as a compliment because I'm remembered that way.
Okay, good. Yeah. And you ever watched Family Ties growing up, or you're way younger than me? But yeah, I'm dating myself. It was Michael J. Fox, who's a great Canadian, love the guy. He was on that show called Family Ties, and his name was Alex P. Keaton. And growing up, a lot of people said that I was kind of like him because I always had businesses and stuff. Yeah. Cool.
Take care, Chris.
Yeah. Great to see you, man. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Oh, look at this.
Question I would like tell you something about
Sure.
water consumption, but just see if there are people that have some questions first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And we got Gary here as well, and Phil. And Gary, why don't you introduce yourself to my students? Well, Gary's a former investment banker. He's in my Platinum MBA. Just unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. It's always great to see you. Always great to see you all.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, like I said, my name is Gary, and some know me, but I'm a former investment banker, a former commercial banker.
Right.
Also, I'm a former business turnaround guy, bankruptcies and stuff and I taught MBA students in China, United States, and India, so I have a breadth of experience. So taking, basically signing up for this course, it's like, it's like I would say it's juice because Chris talks about things that I know about and how to use it, but I wish I had this course 20 years ago, that type of thing.
Thank you. And I got a D in accounting in undergrad because I tried to memorize accounting instead of trying to understand it. But I love using props so that, remember, the denominator for everything is 1. So PE, for every $1 earnings, how many times that $1 are investors willing to pay? Once we understand stuff, it's so much more fun. And
of course. And me, it took a while. It's by analyzing a lot of companies that I realized, wait a minute, now I know what the accountant meant by this.
Yeah. And I always recommend rearranging formulas too. It's the easiest way to understand anything, like assets equals liabilities plus equity, rearranging that. Dude, you're going to love this. So this is what's coming out in the MBA curriculum at the end of January. I'm going to teach you guys how to program with tons of props. We're going to start with Microsoft Excel, and you'll see why I have all this stuff here. And I made this directly from my heart. Heart goes in this side. Yeah, I'm not that smart. But it's coming out in January. I'm going to be teaching you guys programming with Visual Basic for applications within Excel. And then we'll do Python and other stuff eventually. But it's a great basis to understand programming instead of memorizing it. All object-oriented. This will make a lot more sense to you guys once we cover all this. Yeah. Cool.
But I do have a question for you. I missed most of it because I had another call I had at 10. But I've been trying to keep up what's going on with FTX, and really from the point of view of, 1, the investor's perspective, and 2, from the accounting perspective.
Yes.
And I was quite alarmed. First of all, I think we talked about they did have an auditor. But then I said, wait a minute, how can they have an auditor to provide an audit report when the first job of an auditor is to study the internal control structure to assess the audit risk, which would determine how much substantive tests he's supposed to perform? How did they do that if all this internal controls were missing? So that was one of the things that really pissed me off. And then 2 was the issue that you had companies like SoftBank investing in it, but they looked at the audit report, but they never did an operational audit from the point of view of coming in to see, they're using QuickBooks for their accounting. That would have been major red flags. What's your thought?
Yeah, well, first of all, using QuickBooks for a company of that size is not logical. It makes sense to move up to a more reputable ERP type system, from an SAP or an Oracle. In terms of why the auditors did not catch certain issues, I don't know. There is certainly fraud involved. They probably created false reports, etc. Kind of like what Bernard Madoff did back in 2008. Like this here is an actual report from an investor. I'll get closer so you guys can see it. That Madoff created, and I blacked out the name of the investor. I got this on eBay. I have to use that awful joke. I knew all along that Madoff was a scam because his name was Madoff. So sorry. I had to go there.
Made off with your money.
Yeah, exactly. But if you create fraudulent reports like this and you give it to auditors, it's hard for them to really catch it.
Well, the situation is they should have caught it. Based on they're supposed to do what they call a cross-directional audit, where you look at the entry, and then you go and find it to the source document, and then you look at where it's being held, and where are the internal controls in terms of determining whether there is conflict of the people who are involved in the audit trail and stuff like that. That's the thing that really got me. And then the issue of if they're lending money out, the issue is concentration risk. If it's such a large amount of money being lent to one company, the issue of operational risk, once again, the audit flags go up and all that, it's like when I went to accounting, when I majored in accounting, they always said that back then we didn't have the public company oversight. We said, we do everything right, so we don't have to be, quote, regulated.
Yeah.
Now we're regulated because we did things so wrong.
Yeah.
The issue of Enron and the others. And so just because you have an audit report doesn't mean that everything is right.
Yeah.
And so from that aspect.
Yeah.
So I was, as an accountant, at CPA, I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Because they're shooting themselves in the foot again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Rightly so, too. Rightly so. But so I think that what's going to happen is you'll see government regulation of this, to the extent that the SEC is going to regulate cryptos so that there will be monthly or weekly checks by the government to make sure that there's no credit issues. Kind of like what the government did post 2008 by checking out DV01 reports, meaning if interest rates change by 0.01%, what happens to all investment banks' portfolio, so to speak. And so whenever you see a crisis, regulation comes next. And so we're going to see regulation so that, God forbid, this doesn't happen again. Yeah. And I know that a lot of my students have lost a fortune too. And anybody out there that's investing in cryptos, again, please don't put more than 5% of your liquid net worth in cryptos, and don't put more than 0.5% in any one particular crypto. And if you're going to buy cryptos, put it in a cold storage wallet, USB token, and don't store it online, because at this point, almost every company that is a cryptocurrency exchange can go bankrupt. I'd be surprised if it happens like a Coinbase or a Binance. They're bigger and reputable, but you never know. Yeah, especially if it's virtual too. Yeah,
exactly. And because the issue is when you're doing business online, the issue of hackers and, like I said, beside the accounting and the commingling of monies and things of that sort, it's always best to have just a cold wallet. If you're gonna mess with something that you fully don't understand, put it in the cold wallet.
Absolutely.
Also, when you're doing business online, always be careful with the platform.
Yes.
So if you based 100% of your business on one platform, you can lose everything in a second.
So
because
true.
They decide wrongly to flag you for something, and then you can fight with them for weeks while the business is already gone when you have access back.
Yep. I know very well what that's all about. Same thing with like places like Dropbox. Like, don't put all your files on Dropbox. Like years ago, I'd have my photos in different websites, and those websites were taken down. And always have a physical backup of everything. Yeah. And when it comes to customer concentration, for publicly traded companies, investors get upset whenever any customer is more than 10% of revenue. So you got to think diversification as well from a customer perspective, so that no customer is more than 5% of revenue, so to speak, like portfolio management. Yeah.
Well, I know that when I used to be a banker, one of the things you don't want to do is get flagged by the control of the currency. Yeah. And the issue is you did not want to, if you were a banker, you did not want one company to represent more than 15% of your entire capital.
Yeah.
So the issue of diversity was always on their mind, because they knew that loan would be, quote, classified by the federal government.
Yeah.
And they want you to do special review of that particular company in terms of credit risk and all that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And having checks and balances is crucial. And I don't recommend investing in any publicly traded company that doesn't have an auditor from a top 4 accounting firm. Dude, what are the top 4? There's Ernst & Young, KPMG.
Ernst & Young, Price Waterhouse, KPMG. And
Deloitte. Yeah, those are the big 4. It used to be Arthur Andersen too, post and Enron gone. Yeah. So make sure one of those 4 audits the company you guys are going to invest in. Absolutely. And the auditor is supposed to bless the financials as well. Yeah. Cool.
And then also you got to think about it from the perspective that if for example, one of the big four were auditing, the FTX, the number one thing I'd be thinking about, okay, we're going to go after their insurance policy. So you want a big insurance accounting firm. So if they did wrong, you can sue, and get money through their insurance policy.
Yes.
So it's an additional layer of security of trying to at least get your money back, hopefully in a year or whatever.
Yeah. Now, Gary, you're closer to this than I am. What recommendation would you have for students of ours that have been exposed to FTX and are trying to get their money back?
Ooh, that's going to be very difficult. I used to do, like I said before, business bankruptcies.
Yeah.
They're filing. I think they filed Chapter 7. So you just got to make sure that you file your claim. That's the thing you have to do is file your claim in go online. I know they filed in Delaware. Yeah. They have a certain amount of days where you got to file your claim so that they know who are the creditors and stuff like that. Right. It's one thing the government, the company providing a list of creditors. You need to file your list in terms of your claim that they owe you money because you sent them money. Yeah. That's the number one thing you have to do. And then most likely you are, quote, an unsecured creditor. So after the secured creditors get paid off, as well as the government, as well as the professionals, whatever's less then goes to the unsecured creditors. And, you'd be glad if you can get 25 cents on a dollar back.
Yeah. It's rough. And if anybody's been exposed to FTX or any cryptocurrency scam and the exchange that you invested through went bankrupt, you still might be able to get some of your money back, whatever.
You may be able to get some money back because, you think about Enron, some people got their money back. Yes. And same thing with Madoff, they got some of their money back because one thing about bankruptcy, I don't know about FTX because there are a lot of offshore and tokens and valuation. With a bankruptcy, there are clawback provisions where the trustee can claw back a transaction that went 6 months ago. They another company got money, several months ago. You can claw back and get the money back.
Right.
And that's what they'll do. So they have tools out there so that they can get money back. They can then also look at other types of transactions that were really not right, and they will get it back.
Right.
And I think I think I read yesterday something about media persons too, or some media person that have to give back 100 billion for supporting FTX. So it's like you say, reaching now back to where the money went.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's right. They made political contributions to a lot of candidates. Yeah. Well, they're going to go back. They're going to go to those candidates and get that money back.
Good.
Because they were fraudulent.
Good. Now, if anybody you've been scammed, what I recommend doing is go to LegalZoom.com, and you can hire a lawyer there. It's a 6-month contract. You can get access to lawyers for like $30 a month. You can get a half-hour call on a 6-month basis. I recommend doing that if you don't want to hire a traditional lawyer. Now, I do have to wrap up this call. So anybody in my MBA program, please stay here on Zoom. I'm going to go off Zoom. I'll come back in a little bit and take more questions. If you're in my Silver MBA degree program, you can join this call, and you guys all stay on as well. If you're in my Gold and Platinum MBA degree program, you can also join my weekly office hours for 2 hours of Zoom, which is today and every Thursday from 11:20 until 1:20 p.m. I want to wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys on our next weekly 8 a.m. call the first week of January. Please go to HarounMBA.com and check out my next Gold and Platinum MBA degree program, which starts on January 30th. It's going to be a smaller class. Positions are limited. And thank you, everybody. Cool. Now, I'm going to...
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you too, brother. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna wrap up this call here, and as I do with all my weekly webcasts, I play this very short, life-changing video that I license. It's a Steve Jobs interview I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next year.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.